I can change the world with my own two hands, make it a better place. Oh, with my own two hands, make it a kinder place. With my own two hands, with my own two hands. I can make peace on earth, oh, with my own two hands. I can clean up the earth, oh, with my own two hands. I can reach out to you with my own two hands, with my own two hands, with my own two hands. Gonna make a brighter place with my own two hands. Gonna make it a safer place, oh, with my own two hands. Gonna help the human race, oh, with my own two hands. With my own two hands. With my own two hands. Now I can hold you, oh, with my own two hands, and I can comfort you, oh, with my own two hands. But you got to use your own two hands. You use your own two hands. You've got to use your own two hands. With our own two hands. With our own two hands. I can change the world with my own two hands, make it a better place. With my own two hands, make it a kinder place. With my own two hands, with my own two hands. With my own two hands. With my own two hands.
Good morning. My name is Jason Marsden, and this is my 8th week on the staff here at First Unitarian Society of Denver as your stewardship coordinator. Very few audiences applaud for the fundraiser. That's very kind of you. You've made me feel very welcome here, and so fittingly, I now warmly welcome you. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whether you carry joy or sorrow in your heart, you are welcome here. All people of goodwill are warmly invited to join us on the great journey of the mind, the heart, and the spirit. If this is your first time with us today, please let the offering basket pass you by. Your presence here is gift enough. We hope that you join us after the service for coffee and conversation, and look for roving Board of Trustees members who will be carrying a yellow mug, and introduce yourself. They would love to get to know you, as would I, and answer any questions you may have. And anyone can learn more about our congregation on our website at fusden.org, where you will find a sign up for our weekly email newsletter with information about activities and groups. For the next hour or so, please quiet your busy minds, mute your electronic devices, and enjoy the service today. Welcome everyone, and finally, Beverly has a brief announcement for you as well. Thank you.
Creative, open, religious, exploration. CORE, which is a very apt acronym for the lay circles, chalice circles that we support among our community, usually consisting of approximately 7 to 10 people. We meet monthly and have the opportunity to explore many themes, religious and otherwise, in a safe, supportive space. The best thing about core circles is the connection they provide, not only among the congregation, but within the circles themselves, as many deep friendships have been the result. Today, I'm kind of pushing core. I'm going to be at a table in the coffee room, and there's been a lot of interest since everything's getting busier to support this great element of our church community. I would urge you to stop by and just ask questions or say hi. Thanks.
Welcome.
Good morning. I'm Charlotte Broadkern, and for our call to worship and chalice lighting today, I'd like to share with you some of my favorite quotes from The Little Prince from Antoine Saint-Exupéry. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. It is much more difficult to judge oneself than to judge others. If you succeed in judging yourself rightly, then you are indeed a man of true wisdom. What matters most are the simple pleasures so abundant that we can all enjoy them. Happiness doesn't lie in the objects we gather around us. To find it, all we need to do is open our eyes. All men have stars, but they are not the same things for different people. For some who are travelers, the stars are guides. For others, they are no more than little lights in the sky. For others who are scholars, they are problems. But all these stars are silent. You alone will have stars as no one else has them. Well, I must endure the presence of a few caterpillars if I wish to become acquainted with the butterflies. It is the time you spent on your rose that makes your rose so important. People have forgotten this truth, but you mustn't forget it. You become responsible forever for what you've tamed. You're responsible for your rose. A rock pile ceases to be a rock pile the moment a single man contemplates it, bearing within him the image of a cathedral. All grown-ups were once children, but only a few of them remember it. And last, the most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or touched. They are felt with the heart. Thank you. And now, please take a moment to greet those around you. And please join us in singing our welcome song. Whoever you are, wherever you are welcome here. We are many, we are one. The light of the world is within you. Sacred and worthy is your soul. A place has been made for you. Welcome.
Grateful hearts. Good morning. I am so glad that you are here. Will my spirit players and my spirit zone friends and my other young and young at heart friends come up and join me for today's Time for All Ages? Come on up. While they're coming up, I want to tell the adults in the room that last week in Spirit Zones, we practiced changing our noise levels because our theme this month is change. And I promised when we were talking last week that I would talk to the adults up here about the same thing. Fair's fair. See, we've been back together since April worshiping, but we're still learning how to be a community together. And the change back to worshiping together after a long time apart means that we need to practice some skills that we were really great at in early 2020 and that we need to brush up on a little bit now that it's late 2022. So, when we are downstairs together on Sunday mornings, we have 3 rooms in Spirit Zones that we can move through, and each of those rooms have different noise levels. So there's the purple room, and the yellow room, and the green room. I'm wondering, does anybody here want to tell me what is the noise level like in the purple room? Yeah. All right, hang on, Gavin. I'm going to give you the microphone. So speak really loud so everybody can hear you.
Okay. Whispering.
Whisper voices in the purple room? Yes. Great. What about the yellow room? Who knows about the yellow room volume of voices? Ooh, I'm going to go over here. All right, ready?
Medium voices.
Yeah. Yellow room is where we build with Legos and we can have conversations. We use medium voices. And then what about the green room? You want to tell me about the green room?
Level 4.
A level 4. That means not the loudest you can be, but pretty loud. You can make some noises in there because it's kind of like an indoor playground if you haven't been there yet to see it. So yeah, we can be a little bit louder in our green room. So all of these different noise levels that we just talked about can happen in one room in this building. Any ideas where that one room is? Yeah, it's here in the sanctuary. Did you know that? Those noise levels happen in here? Maybe nobody's pointed it out to you, but yeah, they happen in here. And we change our noise levels depending on what's happening during the worship service. So in our peaceful play space, over on that side of the sanctuary, we aim to use whisper voices most of the time, but sometimes a loud play noise or a little extra joy escapes, and that is okay, right? Yeah. That doesn't mean no noise, right? Okay. Because being a human means that we make a lot of different types of sounds, and we want to make a world and a worship space where everyone can be their whole, full human self. And we can practice any skill that we need in a community together in a community. We can also take a look at our expectations and reactions to the ways that humans show up in the world, and then work together in a community to co-create a more just and fair and inclusive world for all humans. And that might take some change, yeah? Right. And that's great because change is our theme this month. So we can change and shift together to co-create the community we need and deserve. We're going to practice together. So we're going to say one word 3 times. We're going to say joy. So I'm going to say it first and then repeat after me. Ready? Joy, joy, joy. Good job. Now we're going to pretend that we're in the purple room and we're going to say our 3 words. Are you ready? Purple room. Ready? Go. Joy, joy, joy. Wow. Good job. All right, now we're going to be in the yellow room with the joy. Are you ready? Yellow room, joy. Ready, go. joy, joy, joy. That was great. All right, and now get ready for it, everybody in the room. Green level joy. Are you ready? Set, go. Joy, joy, joy. Excellent. Okay, let's do a little bit more embodied practice. How about purple room claps? What does purple room claps sound like and look like with your body? Okay, cool. Yellow room claps. Okay, green room claps. Cool. All right, now feet. Purple room feet. Green room feet. Green is the loud one, y'all. I just skipped yellow. Just go to green. Go to green. All right, yellow room feet. Perfect. All right, stop. You're so good. Okay. We can weather any storm of change that happens in this community together. And to prove it, we are going to practice in a rainstorm. You ready? Some people know what I'm going to do next. Some people don't. It's all right. We are going to create a rainstorm by making noise in the sanctuary. We're going to do things like be silent. Not yet. Then we're going to rub our hands together. You can practice while I'm describing what we're doing. Rub hands. Then we're going to pat our thighs. Then we're going to snap our fingers. Then we're going to clap our hands. And then we're going to clap and stomp. And then we're going to work our way backwards to clap. And then snap. And then pat. And then rub. And then silence. This time we're going to do it without me talking, right? And as you're doing it, listen to what the whole community sounds like when we do this together. All right, I'm going to put this microphone down for a minute. I am glad that you are here. One other thing we're going to practice together. We're going to practice affirming one another's presence in this community. So repeat after me. I am glad that you are here.
I am glad that you are here.
All right, we're going to do some more. Adults, you're up first. Turn to someone around 18 years of age or younger. Please say and mean it. I'm glad you're here. Cool. All right, now for our folks who are around 18 years old and younger, turn to some older person, some old head around you. Say and mean it. I'm glad you're here. Thanks, you guys. Now for all of us, turn to anybody of any age and say and mean it. I'm glad you're here. Feels good, right? Cool. To my kids and children and youth and families, I'm glad that you choose to be here. You may choose to join us this morning in programming, or stay here with your families together, or use the peaceful play space, or sit in the living room out there, or there's another living room further back. Wherever you choose to be this morning is absolutely fine. You may also choose to visit the nursery if you have somebody 3 or younger. That is upstairs. And for those who choose to leave and go to programming, here we go. Please join me in singing our children out to their programming this morning. Thank you.
join me and bow to your spirit and rise as we sing together number 16 in your black hymnal. It's a gift to be simple.
Good morning, First Unitarian. I can't tell you how much it warms my heart to see this room full of joyful faces. Our congregational covenant was unanimously affirmed in June of 2020, and it reads as follows: I will listen to you. I will make space for you. I will include you. Together we will be a community of love, respect, and justice. Together we will learn about white supremacy culture to create an equitable congregation. Together we will protect the vulnerable. When we fall out of covenant, we will call each other back in. That's our congregational covenant, which you wrote and approved. Today, we are going to welcome people into our membership and into our covenant. Remember that our covenant is a statement of how we aspire to live. As individuals and as a community, we enter this covenant of our own free will, choosing its obligations and its potential for the betterment of ourselves and our community, in our world. This morning, we will welcome people who have found in this congregation a place they will make their spiritual home. If you are someone here today who wishes to join this community, sign our membership book, and choose this covenant, would you come forward and join me up here? I know there's a couple of you here. Right on up here, yep. Membership in our congregation brings some expectations. We ask for a commitment to the community and a practice of the deep respect that is one of our core values. We want you to take your own spiritual growth seriously and reflect on that in the shelter of this community. That is one of the strongest ties that binds us together. Lending your efforts to the time and the larger efforts and time to the larger ministry of the church, helping to further the spirit of trust and goodwill that is our ideal, allows all of us to be the best we can be as individuals and as a congregation. Helping as you're able with the financial needs of the larger ministry allows everything we do and everything we dream to be grounded in reality. Do you freely accept these implications of membership? Then I'm going to invite you to come up here and add your name to this illustrious membership book. And if you choose to, you don't have to, but if you choose to, as you sign the book, just say a few words about why you're choosing to do so.
Dang it. Hi, I'm Cara. I'm here with my two kids, Noah and Sarah. Say hi. They're super embarrassed right now. I first came to First Unitarian. I was going through a personal transition, and back then, we were broadcasting the homilies on podcast. And they moved out of the space, and they no longer did that. So I was like, now I have to come in person. And it was the first time I heard the welcome, and it was the first time I held the music, and I thought, I am home. And First Unitarian is not home on that first day, but it's also home like on that third night when you're having real conversations around like, how are you really doing? And seeds of hope and love and justice are planted. And that's why I'm signing today. The date. Fix that. It's very complicated.
Hi, I'm Michelle Boyer. I actually did a video in 2020, so I won't talk too much, but I'm finally here for the first time, so.
Hi, I'm Rachel. Most of you guys know me. But I have been here I think I started coming here in 2018. So I've been here thanks. I've been here for a while and have had the amazing privilege of singing and with the choir and for some other music and whatnot. And it's just been a wonderful musical home, but also a really wonderful community to be a part of. And I just feel so loved and held in this community. And it's just wonderful to be here. So thanks.
Biochemistry.
Hi, I'm Lieve Stevenson. I'm actually relatively new here. I've only been here a couple months, but I've been taking Mike's classes and involved, and this has really been a great home and community for me so far, and I feel very comfortable making this my spiritual home. So thank you for being so welcoming and wonderful. Somebody doesn't know what date it is.
It's the 13th. It is the 13th.
It's the 13th. Okay, well, there we go.
You're ahead of yourself.
I didn't trust myself to write and speak. I'm Jessica Montgomery. Like Dr. Rachel Hill, I've been coming for several years off and on and involved to different degrees. In fact, I had plans to come in and sign the book on a Sunday in March 2020 that didn't happen, and I spun very far away from the church community for a while, and have coming back in closer and tighter circles until it felt like the right moment for myself and my son, who has found a great home here in the RE program, to join. So, did I give my name? I'm Jessica Montgomery. I've been coming long enough to have lost 2 or 3 name tags. So.
Hi, I'm Maggie Pierce. I've also been coming a few years off and on, and really wasn't sure if I was a member or not, but I decided to make it official. I definitely have not signed the book, and I just think this is a wonderful community, and I'm very happy to be part of it. It feels like a great opportunity and a great spiritual home for me and my family, so thank you so much.
Good people of First Unitarian Denver, you have a job to do. Welcome and encourage and befriend and get to know these folks. Invite them fully into this community in the way that only you can do. Invite them into your lives. Invite them into your hearts. I know most of them, you will not be sorry. We are a new congregation today with the welcome addition of these faces, these stories, these lives, these families. Will you accept these persons into our membership, fully aware that just as life is constantly changing, so too the nature of our community is constantly evolving? Yes. We will extend the right hand of welcome and a flower. Noelle is going to help me out, as a symbol of the bond which already exists between us and the hope of that bond becoming stronger every day. Now, on your order of service, there's a little responsive reading. I'm going to ask you to join me in that. And just notice which parts are yours. We bid you welcome, who come with weary spirits seeking rest, who come with hope in your heart.
We bid you welcome, who come with anticipation in your step, who come proud and joyous.
We bid you welcome, who are seekers of a new faith, who come to probe, to explore, and to learn.
Unto this church and its members, we pledge a relationship of heart and mind.
Whoever you are, wherever you are on your journey, we bid you welcome. Yay!
Been sitting on the porch this morning, just a rummin' and a smoking green, thinking about the highs and lows between now and when I was 18. When you walk into a garden gate, you're bound to get bit by a snake. Guess you don't know love without a little heartache. How can you know good when you don't know better? If you're looking for love, well, you get ready to get hurt. Well, you can win them all, and to rise you gotta fall. So I went down to Salinas to find a work and to clear my head. I got a job as a hired hand when the harvest time came near. But the dirt went dust and the crops went dry, and I don't know the market when there's no payout. Guess you don't praise the rain if you hadn't in a drought. How can you know good when you know better? Gonna have pain on your way to pleasure, but it's the bumpy roads that lead you where you need to go. Home. Been looking for some perspective, so I knocked on my mama's door. My heart was filled with sorrow, and I collapsed right there on her floor. She said, girl, you best not be crying no longer. Life is cruel and it just gets harder, but what doesn't kill you makes your story longer. She said, how can you know good until you know better? If you look for love, get ready to be hurt. 'Cause life's a hurricane, but the magic's what remains. no rainbow without a little rain. How can you know good until you know better? If I knew what I knew now, I'd write me a letter saying you can win them all, but to rise you gotta fall. To rise you gotta fall. To rise you gotta fall. To rise you gotta fall.
Well, you probably know me by now. That didn't come out well. I'm Sally Isaacson, your assistant treasurer. And I don't know about you, but it's as if all my friends have stopped contacting me. My emails were so few this week. My texts, oh my God. All those politicians just washed their hands of me. What about that? But not to worry, I am still getting lots of envelopes. 3 times your donation if you do it by 12 o'clock such and such. We are in desperate need. There's nothing we can do. You must give us money. And on. That's what happens this time of year. So it's very strange standing up here and pushing, First Unitarian. But that is what we need. You know, this building costs a lot to have the heat. Oh, the heat this year is to kill us. And electricity, and keep the roof over our head. And all of that is done by you, with your pledge money and everything else. So, I think I was supposed to say, if you're a visitor, let the basket pass you by. So that's true. And Beverly will be passing the basket. You can drop in a quarter, a nickel, $5, $100, or a button, whatever. Thank you very much. We'll take the offering now. I think I'll go over here.
Your gifts freely given today are gratefully received. Thank you for your generosity, your continued support of this congregation. I want to take just a moment and hold up and thank all the folks who worked hard at this last election. And I know there's some of you here, people who were poll workers, election judges. If you're one of those folks, would you stand up briefly? Thank you. Thank you. A couple things I would like to let you know about before I begin the homily this morning. Charles Nichols, who many of you will remember, after a stay in the hospital, is back in his memory care unit and is doing okay. He doesn't remember being in the hospital, but he is back and safe and sound for the time being. I need to let you know that after 5 chemotherapy treatments, our dear friend, Steve Kaminer, has decided to stop further interventions. He came home last Wednesday and has started on hospice care. Our prayers and our blessings go to Steve and Joyce. Joyce is here today. I want to let you know Michael Carr had a birthday last week and that he is scheduled to go into the hospital tomorrow for about a week of observation and tests. He's a little nervous about that. Give him a hug. Tell him it's going to be okay. He's here somewhere as well. I want to let you know that Gabriella Flora, who I think is here today, yes, she is, last week received the John Proctor Organizer Award by the Denver Global Justice and Peace Committee. Congratulations, Gabriella. And of course, as she mentioned, Rachel Hill Culp graduated with her PhD, now Dr. Rachel Hill Culp. So I don't really advertise this, but I do take sermon requests. And months ago, someone requested that I do a service on morality in the absence of God. So that is what that's what we're up to today. God Bless America was written in 1918 during World War I, though it wasn't performed publicly until 1938, when it was intended to be a song encouraging peace. Kate Smith, Bing Crosby, many others recorded it. In 1940, it was the official campaign song of Franklin Roosevelt and his Republican opponent, Wendell Willkie. During World War II, it was transformed from a peace song into a victory song, and it was everywhere. More recently, it was apparently sung spontaneously by members of Congress on the steps of the United States Capitol on the evening of September 11, 2001. Shortly after that, it was recorded by Celine Dion, a Canadian, who performed it at the 2003 Super Bowl. That was the year it was adopted by the Indianapolis 500, where it's been played every year ever since, among many other venues, sports and otherwise. The chances are really high that everyone in this room knows every single word. I certainly do. Though the original words were, "Stand beside her and guide her to the right with the light from above." That got changed when it was published because it was thought to be too political. So honestly, that phrase never really bothered me much until 2003, when then President Bush, like many presidents before and after, used that phrase in a speech when he announced that we would be going to war in Iraq. And at that time, he intended it, and the country heard it, as a kind of a battle cry. And I thought to myself, oh, we are headed into some fearsome and troubled times. I have a similar feeling about the national motto of the United States. the motto that is on every single unit of United States currency. In God we trust. Did you know that is the national motto of the United States? Adopted in 1956. That phrase, in God we trust, goes back to the Civil War. General Lee of the Confederacy is reported to have said that on the morning of the last battle he would fight before surrendering at Appomattox. Even as a child, I remember seeing that phrase on coins and dollar bills and thinking, well, in God we trust. Okay, but like which one? Having been raised Unitarian Universalist and growing up in an ethnically diverse Chicago, even then I knew there was a lot more than one. And I thought something similar not long ago when Representative Lauren Boebert said at a rally, and I quote, "The church is supposed to direct the government. The government is not supposed to direct the church," unquote. And again, I thought to myself, but which church? It's not like there's just one. And on the off chance she meant this church, well, okay. But I'm definitely going to need a raise and a couple assistants. As an aside, I have no idea how much history Lauren Boebert is actually aware of, but historically, when churches run governments, things don't tend to go very well. Looking just a little deeper into those phrases, God bless America and in God we trust, we know which God is being referred to. We do. That is the all-knowing, all-powerful, omnibenevolent, white male God of the Christian tradition. The one that's on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. The one whose Renaissance and earlier images are, at least to me, are vaguely reminiscent of Zeus riding the clouds with thunderbolts. This is the God of the Old Testament handing down the Ten Commandments. The God who is mysterious when it's convenient, justifying when needed, and for whom any human criticism is impertinent at best. No one I know of has expressed this better than Anne Lamott when she said, "You can safely assume you have created God in your own image when it turns out God hates all the same people that you hate." This is the God that many Christians and conservatives say is the basis for all Western morality, whose values are written into the United States Constitution, whose existence and essence we apparently trust, whose blessings our presidents and other elected leaders repeatedly ask for. Just one of the difficulties of this position is that that's not actually the God the framers of the Constitution believed in. And, somewhat obviously, they were very careful to leave God out of that famous document. I imagine that very little of what I've said so far is news to you. But it's a very ancient question. What is the source of morality? Like, where does it come from? For the vast majority of recorded human history, people have located the source of morality as coming from outside of themselves. This is the motif of all three Abrahamic religions, Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, and even of a great many indigenous traditions. It was a question of great importance to the ancient Greeks, and Plato once invited us all to do a little systematic theology. In one of the Socratic dialogues, Socrates asks Euthyphro, "Is what is morally good commanded by God because it is morally good? Or is it morally good because it was commanded by God?" In other words, does morality exist in and of itself and God is just the messenger? Or does God decide what's morally good and that's what makes it morally good? Now, Euthyphro proposes a number of options to basically avoid the question, because he knows where Socrates is going with this. He knows there's no right answer. Because if God is merely an agent advocating some universal morality, then morality exists independently of God, and given enough time, humans could probably discover it through reason or some other method, and we wouldn't really need God. On the other hand, if something is moral just because God commands it, then morality is totally arbitrary. And we'd be unable to reason our way to such a morality because it wouldn't be based on reason. Eventually, Euthyphro stomps off in a huff. And Socrates didn't go there, but I will. If morality does come from God, we still have the question of, which one? For example, all the religions I know of generally frown upon killing people. But they also make exceptions. The God of Abraham permitted killing gay people. And the Aztec sun god expected young girls to be sacrificed as tribute. How are we to decide among such diverse moralities? These days, there's considerable coherence among anthropologists and evolutionary historians that morality evolved through natural selection. Simplified, the theory goes that about 2 million years ago, especially with the advent of stone tools, our ancestors began to develop specialized skills. And by about 400,000 years ago, our ancestors were obtaining most of their food through active collaboration, together forming joint goals that required working together, and this was probably pushed along by changes in environmental conditions. In theory, an essential part of the process of collaborative hunting and foraging involved partner choice. Individuals who were cognitively or otherwise incapable of collaboration were not chosen as partners, and so went without food. Likewise, individuals who were socially or morally uncooperative, for example, people who tried to hog all the spoils, were also shunned as partners. The upshot was that social selection favored partners capable of cooperation, motivated for cooperation. And in the process, we developed whole new ways of relating to each other and the attendant biology, biochemical equipment, I guess, to do that. Including social norms that protected the community over the individual. And so morality, at least in the sense of extending our care for and protecting each other beyond our immediate offspring, was born in that way, at least in theory. Also in theory, things got much more morally complicated about 10,000 years ago with the advent of nation states and large population centers. The bigger the population center, the more diverse the community, and suddenly it was much harder to figure out who was in your group and who wasn't. I would say by the evidence, 10,000 years has not been nearly enough for us to figure that one out yet. In that sense, a more universal morality is still pretty much a work in progress. Would you agree? One of the propositions you'll find if you go looking for the basis of morality in the absence of God is a principle known as enlightened self-interest. That may be a phrase familiar to some of you. Enlightened self-interest. And the idea is to recognize cognitively what evolution apparently figured out 400,000 years ago, which is that I do better when you do better. And you do better when the community does better. Therefore, it's in my own self-interest to work for the betterment of you and the community. There are many humanist philosophers who believe that all morality is just enlightened self-interest, and I wouldn't necessarily argue with them, at least not very hard. Unenlightened self-interest is pretty much exactly what you would imagine. Basically, everybody for themselves, which predictably leaves everyone unhappy. I don't remember who said it, but I think it's true. Show me someone with a heart more closed than open, and I will show you someone who can never be fulfilled. There are many teachings and systems out there for understanding goodness without God, or for framing the purpose and meaning of life in the absence of a deity. Buddhism, Taoism, modern Shintoism, yogic practices, and dozens of varieties, and so on. The one I'd like to start moving to a close with, though, is humanism, which is specifically mentioned in the sources of Unitarian Universalist faith. One of our sources reads, I quote, "Humanist teachings, which counsel us to heed the guidance of reason and the results of science, and warn us against idolatries of the mind and the spirit." So, if you're familiar with humanism, you know that there are dozens of descriptions and manifestos and attempts at summarizing the principles of humanism out there, numerous organizations, national, local, international. I personally like the one I found on the humanist.org website. It lists 4 pillars of humanism as follows. 1, human beings are part of nature. We are not observers of life or nature. We are not outsiders looking in or insiders looking out. We are literally the same stuff as the cosmos. We have a naturally occurring capacity to ask questions about meaning and purpose. 2, human capacity. Human beings have the natural capacity to develop meaning and purpose for themselves without needing an external supernatural force to sanction that meaning. We have, in short, we have everything we need within us to solve all of our problems. No deity required. 3, the use of evidence and of reason. And even if we haven't arrived at firm answers to some of our most existential questions, humanists would say evidence and reason, they're just simply the best tools we have. Bar none. Much more reliable and repeatable than any temporary revelation from any God. And 4, all of this is open to revision. Nothing is written in stone. The ideas and answers humanists develop are not treated dogmatically, but will correct them as new information and new insights become available. Not bad. 4 pillars of humanism. We have a number of outspoken and unapologetic humanists covenanted in our community. And humanism, as noted, deeply informs how we do religion. So I want to close with 2 thoughts. First, I personally find the question of a universal morality a bit semantic and not very satisfying. It's a heady question. It keeps me in my head while life is happening out here. I much prefer questions like, what are the lived experiences you have been through that have left you with a richer forgiveness? Like specifically. What have been those involvements, actual involvements, that have left you wiser in the way of your own heart? What were those moments when you heard the sound of your own voice and every fiber of your being and body resonated with truth? When was the last time you allowed someone else's truth to truly touch you and you were changed by it? To me, those are much more relevant questions, much more immediate questions. I don't mean those as rhetorical questions, because I believe, and I've witnessed this, and I think you probably have too if you thought about it, I believe acting morally will lead directly to those kinds of spiritually deepening experiences, just as living those experiences will lead to moral discernment. In other words, when you feel the temptation to do good, even if it's just a whisper in your soul, go with it. It's one of the ways we become better people. Second, and lastly, when I think of morality, I think of these banners. Especially, all souls are sacred and worthy. I was talking to one of our members just the other day who was struggling with that phrase. And I said what I often say: if I am brutally honest, I cannot honestly say I actually believe that 100% of the time. I actually cannot honestly say that. I have met some very unsavory people, real, like genuine, diagnosed sociopaths who would stretch any definition of sacred or worthy. On the other hand, that phrase to me is the unqualified epitome of a moral ideal. Amen? Like, that's the goal, right? I want to be a person who sees every other person as sacred and worthy. I want a world that behaves and structures itself as if every soul were sacred and worthy. I've never found a more worthy spiritual goal. I've never seen a more succinct or noble statement of moral aspiration with or without a God. Amen.
Please rise in body and spirit and join us together in singing "I Brought My Spirit to the Sea," number 4.
I brought my spirit to the sea. I stood upon the shore. I gazed upon infinity. I heard the waters roar. And then there came a sense of peace. Some whisper calmed my soul. Some ancient ministry of stars had made my spirit whole. I brought my spirit to the trees that loomed against the sky. I touched each wandering, careless breeze to know if God was nigh. And then I felt an inner flame that fiercely burned my tears. A bride I rose from bended knee to meet the asking ears.
You can stay standing and join in singing the closing affirmation.
Behind all our differences and
benediction today is from the poet Adrian Rich. My heart is moved by all I cannot save. So much has been destroyed, I have to cast my lot with those who age after age, perversely, with no extraordinary power, reconstitute the world. Amen. Our service is ended. Go in peace.